Freight estimates and final cost. In this lesson, you're going to discover how to estimate your freight costs so that you can work out the actual final cost of your product. So what you will need: the product cost, including packaging, inserts, logo, etc. This comes from the supplier, and we have this. The Amazon FBA label fee, which we know is 20 cents. However, we are going to show you how to skip this, so we're not going to actually include this in this lesson. However, if you decide to go with the Amazon FBA label fee, you will need to add this. Inspection service fees. We can estimate this at around 20 cents per unit. And you'll also need both types of shipping costs. That's the shipping and importing your product from your supplier into the country where you're going to sell it, and also the final shipment to Amazon via UPS. And we can estimate this at about 50 cents per pound. So as you can see, the one thing that remains that we need to find out is the cost of shipping and importing your product from your supplier. So if your supplier is domestic, in other words, in the country where you're going to be selling, they should be able to give you an accurate estimate of shipping charges. If the product needs to ship overseas, the best way to get an estimate is to use an online freight tool. And for that, we're going to use Freightos. And to go there, all you need to do is type in amazingsellermachine.com/Freightos. Now, in order to get this estimate from Freightos, you need shipping dimensions of the entire shipment or each carton to estimate. Now, this does not include customs duty, but this can be up to 25% of the product cost you pay, and it is the product cost, and it does not include the shipping. But we will assume 10% for these examples. Also, pick the city closest to you or your freight forwarder when asked for the destination. So let's go use the Freightos tool to estimate your shipping costs. Okay, so I've logged into my supplier contact sheet, and I'm going to walk you through one of the examples here. So we'll use the taco holder. So I'm just going to scroll across. So we're just showing our suppliers, and I've filled in the information for this. Now I haven't actually used the real information here, and I've actually removed the notes, but you should keep notes. This is a really useful place to keep them so you can keep track of what you've been doing. And it also becomes very important when you want to narrow down your 3 suppliers to the best supplier, because you can see how responsive they are and any additional notes. So we want the initial quote, which is the price that the supplier quoted us. We want the MOQ, again, which they quoted us. We want the quantity per carton. We're actually going to do this per carton. And by that, I mean that 4 taco holders come in 1 box, and then maybe 10 of those boxes go in 1 carton. I want the dimensions for that carton and the weight for that carton. And then the last one is we're going to calculate the import shipping estimate. So we're going to go to Freightos.com. If you use amazingsellermachine.com/Freightos, it'll take you direct to where you need to go. And then you can just log in with LinkedIn and it'll bring you to this box. If it doesn't, you just want to click on New Search. But we're not shipping by container. That's something for the future for you all. But we're going to select pallets, boxes, and crates by clicking on it. And then it's going to be boxes and crates, which should be highlighted by default. If not, just click on it. So I'm going to open up the quote and get the information we need. So the first thing we need is the cost per unit. In our case, it's the cost per pack of 4. And I've just highlighted these in yellow so you can see I'm looking for an MOQ of 100 to 500. And for that, they're going to charge $5.40. Now, how much you order is up to you. But you want to make sure you've got enough to launch your product, because obviously you're going to be selling some of those units at a reduced price, but you'll learn more about that in the next module. So I'm just going to select $5.40 as our price. And just before I go back to our sheet, I just want to show you here the difference between ordering 100 to 500 and 5,000 or more. You can see it highlighted here in orange. And I've just put it here so that you can see it. And basically it's 65 cents. Now that isn't a huge amount, but it will make a difference to your product margin. And with a lot of products, you will find the difference between these 2 prices is quite significant. But remember, this is your first contact with this supplier. The odds are once you've placed a couple of orders with them, you will be able to bring down all of these prices for whatever MOQ it is that you want. At the end of the day, you are a brand new customer to them, and they want to see how good a customer you are as much as you want to see how good a supplier they are. But we've got $5.40, so I'm going to come back here and put $5.40 into our initial quote down here, and also where it says supplier number 1 price, we're going to put it there too. Now you'll automatically see that the total true cost has jumped to $5.40. And that's because this is all set up with a formula, so it adds all these things together and puts them in the total true cost. So the next thing is initial MOQ. So it said 1 to 500. I'm just going to put 400 in. And then we need the quantity per carton. And if you remember from the lesson where we contacted suppliers, that's one of the things we asked them for. And I've just highlighted it to make it easier to see, but you can see here CTN quantity, in other words carton quantity, and it's 16 sets, in other words 16 boxes. So the quantity per carton is 16. Now obviously I'm doing this one at a time, you could pull all this information in at once. And the dimensions are here, and you can see it says in centimeters, so it's 46 by 22 by 29. And I'm going to grab the weight while we're at it, and it's 16.5 kilograms. So I filled those two boxes in. So we now know everything we need to know to go to Freightos. So the first thing we want to do is put number of units, and that just means the number of cartons that you're going to be sending them. So we know I'm sending 400, and there is 16 boxes per carton. So I'm going to need 25 cartons. And then where it says dimensions, I'm going to click on cm for centimeters. And then we're going to put the dimensions in. So there you go. I put in 46, 22, 29, and the weight, I'm going to click on kilograms, and it's 16.5. So we've completed the first step. So we're going to click on next step. Now, if I open up this box, you can see that we've got an FOB price, which basically means that your supplier is responsible for getting it to a port or airport or factory warehouse, which would be EXW, and it would be your supplier's factory. But I'm going to select FOB, and it doesn't really matter which quote you get. My personal preference is to get FOB, and you can ask your supplier that. You can ask them for the price at FOB, which basically is freight on board or free on board, or EXW, it's up to you. But I know it's China, and we're going to assume for this example that it's Shenzhen, and that it's coming out of the port, not the airport. So it's this one here. Then you have to select a date. I believe mine said 25 to 30 days. I'm just going to go to the 1st of December. Actually, we'll make that the 2nd because the 1st is a Sunday. And it's not too critical about the date. Just always make it 30 days in advance. Because if you ask for quotes in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, they're going to be more expensive. And try to keep it as accurate as you can to what your supplier is telling you about how long it takes for them to create the product for you. And then we're going to deliver goods to. Now, this can either be your home address or that of your freight forwarder. So I'm actually going to use a freight forwarder. So I'm going to click on it and select factory warehouse. And it's in Los Angeles. So I put LOS in. I'm going to click on Los Angeles and then click on next step. Now the next step is about customs brokerage. You are going to need this. So where it says purchase a customs bond, I recommend you do this unless you've already got one. And then you've got two options here. A single one, which means you're going to buy a customs bond just for this one shipment. Or the continuous one would mean it'd be for an entire year. So this is going to be your first order, so I recommend you just use this one. Now the shipment value for mine is $2,160, which is basically 400 units times the $5.40. And you can see here they're going to charge me $50. And now basically we've given them all the information we need. And I'm just going to click on search and book. Now you'll start to see these load slowly as it goes out. And the great thing about this site is these are not just estimates on what they've seen before. These are actual freight forwarders that are giving you quotes for their services. So you want to look for the cheapest, but also you want to look at speed too. If we compare these top two, you can see that ECU Worldwide, they're saying it's 26 to 31 days to get your product to your freight forwarder or your house in the US. And they're charging $751. Now they do a pretty good job. Normally the best value is the best one to choose, and that's done by a combination of price and speed. But you can also see here there's the quickest. Although it's not a big deal, it's 24 to 28 days, which means it's only going to be a couple of days quicker. So it's not something I would look at. If we look at one more, you can see this one's a little bit more expensive. It's about $17 more, and it's 25 to 30 days, so maybe a day quicker. Personally, I think they've got it right. This is the one that I would choose. So it's $751.26. So I put it into our import shipping estimate. Now, what this doesn't take into account is import duty or tariffs or whatever you want to call them. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this can go up to 25%, but for the sake of this example, we're going to use 10% as an estimate. So we've got $751, and I'm actually just going to use the boxes here to lay this out to make sure I don't make a mistake. So I've put in $751.26. Now we need to add the import cost to this. Now, as I mentioned, this can range up to 25%, but for the sake of the training, we're going to use 10% to make it easier to show you. So we need 10% of the product cost. It doesn't include shipping, it's just the product cost. So we have 400 units at $5.40, which amounts to $2,160. So I put that amount in here. However, we only need 10% of this, which is $216. So I'm going to change that and just make it 216. Then we need to add these two together, which comes to $967.26. However, that is the cost for the entire shipment. We want the cost per unit. So we have 400 units, so we need to divide $967.26 by 400, which comes out to be $2.42. So that's our cost of shipping plus import costs for 1 unit. So I'm going to put that into the box for the import shipping cost. Now you'll notice that our total cost has jumped to $7.82. That's because it adds up all these numbers here and puts it in this box for you. Now the inspection service, we're going to estimate it's around 20 cents. And then for UPS to Amazon, we're going to estimate that it costs roughly 50 cents per pound of product. And we know our product weighs 2 pounds. So I'm going to put $1 in. And then for the FBA label service, I'm going to leave that at 0. Because we are going to show you in Module 3 how you can avoid this cost by simply putting the FNSKU onto the product packaging. So our total true cost is now $9.02. However, we want our dollar amount profit and also our profit margin. To do that, we need to go to the FBA revenue calculator. So I'm going to put my mouse cursor over the FBA revenue tool net profit title and then click on the link. Now we need an ASIN, so I'm going to go back to our contact sheet. I'm going to go across, open up the main product because we do need the ASIN of that product. So I've copied it, and we also remember it's $19.95 because we do need that. Paste it in, click search. So our price is $19.99. Now I'm just using roughly what the cost of the primary product was, but you can either do that or you can take an average number of the top 3. You basically just want to use a price you think you can sell the product for, looking at the competition that's out there. So then we want to do ship to Amazon. Now I'm going to put 0 because we've already included the shipping price to Amazon. If I go back to the sheet, you can see it's right here, UPS to Amazon. And then we just need the true cost of the product, which is $9.02. So I put $9.02 in and I'm going to click calculate. Now, as you can see here, it's saying $2.56 profit and 12.81%. So obviously this is well below our 20%, but I'll fill in that amount. So it's $2.56 right here. And the sheet should calculate our net profit margin for us. And you can see it's roughly the same as Amazon are telling us. Now, as I said, looking at this, it looks like this product is definitely going to be a dud because our net profit margin is only $12.83. However, remember, we've got 2 more suppliers here, and that's why we always look at more than one supplier. Now, looking at these costs, I have a feeling that we're not going to be able to find a product cheap enough to make this worthwhile. But if I am right, and when we look at the other suppliers, we're still looking at a profit margin of less than 20%, then we would just rule this product out and go for one of the others. Worst case scenario, if all 3 of these products fail, we would just go back to our list, and that's why we build that list in the first place. We would just find some other products to take through here. And if that is the case and you have to go back, you haven't wasted your time because you've built experience on dealing with suppliers and how you calculate if your product's going to work or not. But before we go, we'll just take a look at the other 2 products. I have filled in the information for one supplier for each. So this is the cocktail shaker, and I filled in the information, and you can see it's $7.16 net profit dollars, and the net profit was 23.89. Now the great thing about this is when I see that, there's a very good chance I am going to get a better price from another supplier. Now it's over our absolute minimum threshold of 20%. It's at 23.89. So this is a product that could potentially be a great product to start with. But I would also go and look at the other 2 suppliers, fill all their information in, and I'm guessing I might even get an even better profit margin. And if we look at the Rabbit Corkscrew, you can see that this was a very healthy profit indeed. It was $20 and the net profit margin was 52%. Now, the only thing that concerns me about this product is the top product is OXO, and they are very high quality products. So I would have to make sure that it would be a very, very high quality product to be able to justify the price that they are charging right now. But I'm going to fill the information in from the other suppliers so that we've got all that done. Now, I am not renowned for being great at maths, so if you do spot a mistake on here, by all means do let me know. But that's how you fill out your supplier sheets. So you want to fill out the supplier information for all 3 suppliers for each of your product opportunities. So we covered how to calculate the shipping cost for your opportunities using Freightos. And we also discovered how to calculate the true cost and net profit margin for each of our opportunities and the 3 suppliers. In the next lesson, you will discover how to use all the information to choose your very best product and suppliers. Your action step: for each opportunity, calculate the net profit margin for each of your suppliers. But that's it for this lesson. Take care.